Welcome to Post Status Happiness Hour live. And today my guest is Neel Schivdasani. Neel works with Automattic and he has been instrumental in the new AI integration into WordPress.com. Neel, welcome to the show.
Hey, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you and I met about, a month and a half ago now? It's hard to believe it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Almost 2 months ago.
Yeah, almost 2 months.
At WordCamp Asia. It was slightly warmer for me there. We had a little snow today in New York, so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, and it's starting to warm up a little bit.
Yeah. I've seen people post pictures with flowers and things in Georgia. So we are not quite to that point here, but we're getting there. But I saw the announcement, and I follow the news and WordPress, of course. Saw the announcement that you had kind of baked AI into, baked it into, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but you know what I'm saying. We're very casual here, so I go a little crazy sometimes. But that it's part of WordPress.com now. And I had asked a question of Matt in the Q&A at WordCamp Asia as when we might see AI come to fruition in WordPress.org, right? So in the self-hosted, not even knowing that this was coming down the pike necessarily in the .com world. So so I'm excited about it. I'm excited to learn more about it. And before we even dive deep into that, why don't you just give us a little bit about yourself? I know you just said you're in Atlanta, so we got that part covered. But just tell us a little bit about how long you've been working on this project and anything else you want to share about yourself before we kind of dive deep into the AI part.
Yeah, for sure. So again, my name is Neel Schivdasani. I'm a product manager in the AI division at Automattic. I've been there for a little less than 2 years, probably like 1 year and 8 months, something like that. And that's actually, that was my first exposure to the overall WordPress ecosystem, or my first deep exposure. I've worked at Mailchimp for 8 years in the past. And, that's kind of adjacent, still helping publishers and small businesses. But yeah, relatively new to WordPress. As for the AI website builder, I think we've been kicking around some version of this for about a year, but then things really kind of ramped up closer to, I'd say, half a year ago. That's actually like a fairly long product development time, but this is a challenging new space. It's moving very quickly. A lot to learn, a lot to kind of invent from a UX standpoint. And we're really excited to see people use it and to continue developing it.
I feel like, AI has been part of the social conscience for quite a while now. Like there's been movies about it. And I mean, all the way back to 2001 A Space Odyssey, which, predates my ever having looked at movies and things like that. And I'm older than you. But so it's not like we've never heard of it before, but it really is in the last year to 2 years that it's become a tool that's truly accessible to online, right? So with ChatGPT and other things like that, but even with, I have if I say her name, she will talk to me, but the Alexa sitting here on my desk that, I can ask questions of, and there's, different things that are just automated that we never even think about until we have that as a tool. The first time I ever got, a smartphone and I realized you could watch TV on your smartphone. It was it tripped me back to when I was watching, reading comic books in my youth where they had TV watches and you're like, oh, that could ever happen. Right. And now it does. I could actually watch TV on my watch. So it seems like things just move really quickly. Well, they do in tech. And so that this has just gone boom. And everybody talks about AI. My mother hates it because every time she goes into Facebook, it tries to tell her what she should write. She's like, I hate that. But she's obviously not the target market either. So how did the process evolve and what made it move so quickly? I know you said it took a little bit longer in development time. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it went very quickly, quite honestly. But how did that all come to be? And then we're also anybody's watching, we're going to do a demo as well and show you what it looks like.
Yeah. So it's funny, just to kind of go back to something you mentioned, AI has really kind of boomed over the past few years. I think My background was like more machine learning and recommendations and things like that. And then I started working with AI at this point, probably 4 years ago. And it's very different now than it was then. It's very different now than it was 1 year ago. It's very different now than it was 6 months ago. And so in terms of like how this kind of came to light, we just know that there's so many people that need to get onto the open web or want to, and it's just difficult for them. And they're maybe not yet at the point where they would hire a developer or an agency to help them out. Maybe it's just kind of like a blog they want to write, or they're trying to start a small business for themselves. And we just know that there's a need for them to get on the web, and we want it to be easier than it is. And so it's, like all products that grow to be successful, which we're, still working and hoping for. It started with a problem more so than like the technology. As the technology started to emerge, we realized, okay, this could actually really help these people. And that's very much different than the experience you described your mother having with Facebook, where it's kind of like in the way of what she wants to do. I don't think your mom probably doesn't have a problem, articulating her thoughts and writing, whereas people do have a problem building websites. And so we just wanted, again, like it's not about the technology, it's about the problem. Once the technology started to get to a point where it could help that problem, we decided to really jump on it and see how we could kind of play a role there. And it's been a really interesting development cycle because I mentioned that this space moves fast. This product, I think, it went through, there were a few times where we essentially kind of reinvented it because what we were doing was no longer relevant or current. And now we're at a point where we're really excited. It can, we've heard people tell us like how much easier it has made things for them. And we're excited to keep developing it into, kind of like an industry leading AI application, which involves us just like really staying on top of what's happening, not getting swept up in the hype, but understanding when technological advancements can really facilitate us solving the user problem.
Yeah. So as I was thinking about it, like making it easier to publish on the web really does lean right into that democratizing publishing for sure, because it makes it more accessible to people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We think that it's something that can only grow the ecosystem in the open web by making it this easy.
Absolutely. Now, is the AI part built into, the free version of WordPress.com, or is it something that comes with the paid versions or the hosted business plans and things like that?
Yeah. So right now, the AI tool, the AI website builder, it does have a free trial, but it is something that is kind of like bundled with a premium or business plan on WordPress.com. We're starting there, and we're trying to explore over time, how can we further democratize things? How can we make this even more available? It is something that incurs a cost even to have a free trial. And to, we're still just kind of feeling out like what the path forward is into the distant future while solving user problems right now.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, do you want to, we've got some people already saying they're checking in. So Davidan is there watching. It's good to have everybody here who's paying attention today. Do you want to go ahead and just jump right into a demo so you can show us what it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So do you see me kind of scrolling up and down on this window a little bit?
Yes, I do.
Cool. So this is WordPress.com/AI-website-builder. You can also go to WordPress.com/AI. And this is the landing page where you get to try things. We have some customer testimonials. We're going to be building out more descriptions and, information about the product so that people can learn about it on this page. But right now, it's really focused on enabling people to try something. And the start of the experience is really you just describing what it is you're trying to do. And so, for example, I might say I need a website for my bakery. And then as you go into the experience, it starts setting up the website for you. And if you're not logged in, it will ask you to log in. In this case, I am logged in. or to create an account, which you can do without validating your email. You can just kind of very quickly get into the experience. And then once you're in this experience, we have an AI assistant that understands what you'll need to know to build a website. And if you haven't given that information, it'll start to collect more from you. And this is something that over time will get smarter and learn more about more things it can collect from you in order to help you achieve your goals. Right now, it's asking what the name of the bakery is, and I'm going to say Colette Bread, which is the name of a bakery by my house that I like.
Okay.
And
I was like, wow, that came pretty easy.
It's funny because like I don't suspect anyone from that bakery is going to be watching this, but I think like every day I think like I wish we could just build their website for them because or I wish they could use this tool because it's so easy. I'm going to tell it it's located in Atlanta, Georgia, rather than give a specific address, but you can do that as well. And what do we offer? It'll also help you. Like you could ask it questions, you could ask it for clarification. In this case, it says like, are there any specific types of bread or baked goods that you specialize in? I'm going to say we make sourdough pastries. And then here's a section where you can kind of confirm everything that it knows about your site. You can change anything by clicking on it. I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, create my site. And while the site's being built, it gives you some examples of things that you can ask it to do once you're in the editor. So you can ask it for fonts, you can ask it for colors, you can ask it to redesign your page, you could ask it to add a menu page, a gallery page, or a menu section or a gallery section. Here we see the site start to come together. And what we've done is our AI is picking sections and pages and functionality that we think makes sense for the business or the user's need based on whatever it is that they've said they were trying to build. In this case, you can see that the website has a hero section with a link to the menu, an about section with a link to an about page, a gallery, some customer reviews, a contact section with a map. And additionally, I mentioned that there's these links to different parts of the website. We've created additional pages for people. So there's this about page, there's a contact page, and there's a menu page.
Nice.
Yeah. And additionally, the website has been populated with stock images that the user can use or not use. It's up to them. It's just to help them kind of envision what they want their site to be, as well as placeholder copy. And we think this is important just because even if we expect most businesses to replace all of this, all of this content, all of the images and all of the copy, it just helps someone who is not at all familiar with websites and how to build online. It helps them understand like, okay, here's like the type of image I could use here, or here's what I should be talking about in these different sections.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful.
For sure. The next thing that we do is that once you're in the editor, we have this little thing that pops up. This is essentially the assistant. You can move it around as you see fit. And the first thing it does is walk you through a couple of high-level decisions about your site. The first of which is layouts. And so you can immediately try some different layouts for this page. They'll have sometimes like generally similar images, although it picks different images depending on the aspect ratios, as well as similar content and functionality, but it lets you explore different ways of kind of visualizing your business. Next, we pick some colors that just based on what you've described, we think would make sense. You can also tell the assistant, in that initial stage, what colors you want. But, depending on the business that you've described, we'll pick some color palettes that we think are appropriate. You can also ask the AI for specific colors. So you can say, make my site blue, make it, you can give it specific hex codes. You can even say, click on something and say, make this, green or make this darker, and it'll handle requests like that. I might say, make my site a light purple and white. And it will use AI to generate some palettes. And this is something that we're like iterating on quite a bit to make it even more capable for different users. I actually kind of liked this one, so let's go with that. Next, it walks you through font selections. And so here's some things that we think make sense, as well as just like options that let the user understand the variety of ways that their site can look.
Sure.
And then that's kind of what we call the handoff. And now the user has a site with a logo that has been made for them. They can replace it. It's got multiple pages. It's got all these different sections. All the sections and buttons and CTAs link to each other, and they're in the editor. And so we think that for, the type of person that we're trying to help get on the web, someone who, let's say in the case of a bakery, they're really passionate about baking bread. They're not necessarily passionate about building websites. They just need one.
Right.
Yeah. And, for that type of person, we're hoping that this does like 80 to 90% of the work for them, where they see this and they think, oh, this is something that, I can actually see my business being associated with and feel proud of.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the experience. Now that they're in the editor, they have this assistant that they can, give commands to. And in the, I mentioned that this is like a free trial, just to help people like, work on their website quickly and easily. In the trial, you can make 30 requests to the AI assistant. But once you're a user, you can actually just continue to give any amount of AI commands to update your site on an ongoing basis.
Now, can you do things as simple as like change the phone number to this and that kind of thing? Is it that?
So it should be. There's some scenarios in which we're still improving its ability to understand the context of the entire site. But let's try it. Change the phone number to, let's say, 404, which is Atlanta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going out on a limb here. There's a chance this doesn't work. We are still improving the AI. AI is a very fast. Okay, to no contact form. Have you added one yet? So there isn't a contact form. There's a contact pattern. Again, this is something that like we're constantly iterating on.
Sure.
I don't mind at all, like, trying.
I mean, I don't see that as a fail, quite honestly. It's just, I was curious, like, what's the level of granularity, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is something that, without like tipping our hat too much, I would say that within like a month and a half, we're planning on releasing what would be considered like a step function improvement to the intelligence of this tool.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's really exciting. We also just knew that this, as it is like so valuable to the type of people who are trying to get online.
And you can just click in there and change your phone number anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you can click on any image. You can drag images from your computer. Like, you're in Gutenberg at this point, so you can do so much. But I could also say, like, generate. You can fetch new stock images or generate images. I'm going to say generate a photorealistic image of a croissant. Do I know how to spell croissant?
I believe so.
Yeah. And and so it's, again, like, these are people who don't necessarily have professional photography. They don't necessarily.
Oh, would you look at that? Now I'm hungry.
Yeah. But it's it's something that we see as helping people get started, helping them write. We've had people who try to use this tool, but they don't necessarily speak a certain language natively, and the tool will help them write content. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, in addition to that, there's a number of things you can ask it to do. You could say something like, delete the about section, and you could be anywhere on the page and it'll figure out what you're talking about and do that. I might say, let's add a menu to the homepage. Maybe I want that to be front and center. Okay, that was actually the wrong section. Maybe that was a bad request. You know what? I'm going to say thumbs down. We are looking at all of the user feedback.
We're training it, right?
Yeah, we are training it. And again, I'm not too stressed about that, because right now this is already extremely valuable. And like I said, we're working on effectively like the next level of intelligence that is going to really empower users. But yeah, sorry.
I've often thought I used to build sites for a couple of restaurants, and they would talk about menu being the food, and I'd be talking about menu meaning the navigation. And sometimes there was a little bit of a crossover. So,
For sure.
maybe there's some slight variation in that as well.
Yeah. But there's still like a wide variety of things that it can do, like add a gallery page. And then when users request new pages, it'll generate a new page. It will show them some options for layouts. Similar should happen when it's adding the correct sort of section. But in a sense, we're trying to make WordPress as intuitive and accessible as possible to people.
So when I first started using WordPress, I would have analysis paralysis as far as finding the right theme and figuring out what the templating should look like and that kind of thing. This has kind of taken the thought about that and made it super simple. Like, here's the design, here's 5 or 6 different versions of that, which one do you like? And you're like, oh, that's pretty, I'm going to use that, as opposed to going through theme and theme and theme and theme. So I really do like that for sure.
Yeah. It's funny that like it can be difficult to imagine the mindset of someone who, as people who like work in web technology, it can be difficult to imagine like what is it like to come into software like this with no experience with the web, let alone specific software. And some people just really need someone to like help guide them most of the way. It does speak to a couple of additional things that we'll be pursuing in the future. We do want to make this so that it's like more proactive rather than just like accepting commands. It could have a better understanding of what the person should do and help them understand like, here are the next steps for you to get online. But you mentioned themes. We're also exploring how we make this work for other block themes. And so we think that, this is great for people who just need something to be spun up for them. But there are people who maybe have stronger opinions about like specific themes they want to use. And we want to enable them to be able to interact with AI to make their site building experience easier as well.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. I really do like how easy it is. So I have a couple of quick questions. One, it's created a logo, and we can keep that and use that if we'd like to. So there's no copyright infringement on whatever it generates over the logo. And then also the images that are generated, are they AI images? Are they stock photography? And if I were to use what's created or generated here, is it CCO? How am I protected from using anything that's copyrighted imagery?
Yeah, it's all stock photography. Like when you request a specific image and you say generate it, it will generate the image. The rest of these are all stock photos, and you're free to use them. There no attribution required. Nice. It's just free images that anyone is able to use. We do find that most people, like, again, this helps them visualize what they could be doing, but for the most part, people generally want to replace these. But we also acknowledge that not everyone has the luxury. Like a really good looking image can have a huge impact on the visitor. Not everyone has the luxury of being able to like capture and generate really good looking images.
Right. A lot of people with cell phone images that may or may not look like they are professional photos.
For sure. Yeah. And I do think that in the future, we plan on offering more assistance to help make cell phone photos look better, which is another kind of like emerging field of this technology. It's just not something that we do at this moment.
Nice. Now with Gutenberg, we could apply things like duotone and like change things to black and white. And can we do that here as well? Could you like hover over an image and say, make this image black and white?
That's not something that the assistant supports right now. The user is in Gutenberg, but we by default put them in kind of a distraction-free mode, which kind of hides the more advanced capabilities. I think that over time, we want to integrate this with the command palette so it can do a larger number of things. It's just, it's not there yet. Gotcha.
I also like how when you said create a gallery page, and then you went to the gallery page, it was like, here's photos of a gallery. It was an art gallery. So it's very literal at some levels.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing.
No, it is. I think that, again, we're like improving the handling of stock images, but for
Yeah.
the most part, we've found that people generally like
They
they
just want
want a
placeholders.
placeholder. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I do always like have a little chuckle when AI is like, "That's what you said,
Yeah.
Michelle. That's what you told me to do. I did it." Kind of thing.
That specific gallery behavior is something that was gone. Like it would happen for a long time, and we sorted it out. And then like the tough thing about developing these types of capabilities is that we're working with technology, like sources and partners that are constantly changing and evolving, and we're trying to provide a consistent and reliable experience to people. And it takes extra work to make sure that like some external change hasn't impacted the way that we're operating. But we're really proud of where we are, and again, like really excited about where we and this technology are going.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. When I was when I was first starting out, and I had like logged into a website before, and then thought I could do this, and I could make websites for people, and I would sit there and just agonize over the smallest choices, right? Like, how do I make the layouts on pages, and what's the right theme to use, and what's the right color palette, and having to create all of that from scratch as somebody who is just starting out. Those kinds of decisions can literally just kind of stop you in your tracks and keep you from moving forward with what you want to design. This takes a lot of that sting and all of that indecision out, because I could just make choices from what it's showing me, and then I can move forward from there. And I think that especially for somebody who's not a builder and is not trying, like you said, if I'm a painter, I want to paint houses. I don't want to make a website, right? And so I just want something quick and easy, and this allows me to do that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like I think with some pursuits in life, there's like a hump you have to get over before things start to feel really rewarding.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get people over that hump as fast as possible into like a website they would enjoy. I fully anticipate that there's people who will start this way and will grow to like really appreciate web technology and WordPress, and then start to like get a little more into the details, kind of get their hands dirty, install plugins, do more bespoke customizations. But it's very frustrating for that type of person if they have to spend weeks and still don't get to something that they feel comfortable with. And we're just trying to get them
Right.
comfortable with something really fast.
Yeah. And I like that it's offering placeholder text too. I'll tell you my secret, and I don't know why I picked this city, but
Uh-huh.
like I've built I've built sites for like an arborist. And I was like, I don't know what to put on an arborist's website, but I didn't want to look at local arborists and like copy any of the text. Not that I ever copied straight text. I didn't do that, but I always went to Tucson. Like I would be like arborist in Tucson. And then I'd
Mhm.
be like, oh, I'd look at three or four sites in Tucson, because it was so far removed from anything that would be here, and be like, okay, oh, that's a great idea. I should have that on a page, and I should have that on a page. This basically took that research and just kind of did it for me, which is nice.
Yeah, it is interesting. And a lot of this is also derived from like our expert opinion that we're baking into the patterns that we're using and the theme that we're using. But we still do find that there are a lot of people, particularly people who are kind of like new to the web or who have like are starting from zero. And the way they think about websites and plan can be like a bit aspirational, where they have websites they really like. We're not necessarily trying to help people like totally recreate websites, but again, we're just trying to help them understand, like give them like source material essentially.
Yeah. I once helped. I have helped people in the past who were using websites other than WordPress, that also started with W, if you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
with 3 letters, rhymes with fix. Um,
Yeah.
and like my cousin had a site for a while, which before she had kids and whatever, and on being a photographer, and so I have some experience in having used that platform, and it was clunky. You were bound to their themes, and I could see somebody like my cousin being able to just like pop in here and make the decisions herself, not have to do the go back and forth with me, and it would feel a lot more intuitive than perhaps those other platforms where you're so tied in to exactly what they're telling you have to do. So I think
Yeah.
this is a nice I don't want to say competitor really, but it's a nice alternative to some of those other platforms where you're really at their mercy.
I mean, I want us and our team to think of this as a competition, because like, that's how we make sure that we're delivering experiences that will, like, solve problems in unique and new ways for people trying to get on the web. And yeah, I don't know. It's a very, very interesting time. So much is changing, but we're just really excited to help people get on the web.
Let me clarify what I meant by that. If I were to choose between a Lamborghini and a Volkswagen Golf, there's no competition. So that's what I meant. Like this is the Lamborghini, and the other one is a Volkswagen Golf. So yeah, it's clear which option would be the option. Is I guess is what I meant. Let me bring up a couple of so we have this says interesting, and we were talking about like how it didn't bring up what you wanted it to, it didn't change the phone number, that it would do better over time. Menu can be confusing depending on the complex. And then Mark Andrew says, appreciate the conversation and insights behind the decisions. All of his questions have been answered so far, which I love when we do that. That's awesome. If you do have questions, though, people put them in the comments, and we will get Neel to answer them for sure. No, this is really exciting, and I think it's funny that we keep saying baked in, and we picked a bakery to create today too. So that's
that was unintentional. Yeah,
I know. That was subliminal at its best for sure.
Yeah.
So okay, so this is the first iteration of this project. And as you tease a little bit, there are some things. What are some of the things that we might look forward to? Understanding that technology is going to change and that there might be things next year we can put in this that we can't even think of right now. But what are some of the things on the roadmap that we can look forward to over the next year?
Yeah, there are a couple of really big ones. So one that I've alluded to already is that we are going to see a step function increase in the quality of the intelligence soon. When you're working with these tools, this is broadly considered like an assistant or an agent, and the architecture for how assistants or agents are built is changing constantly. These days, you're seeing state-of-the-art assistants and agents in software like Cursor, which is a really popular tool for software development. It's an IDE, or Lovable, things like that. We're incorporating something that we believe is kind of like on that level in terms of intelligence and like the type of architecture, and it will give the assistant so much more context about you, your site, and what it can do. So that you can give it much more abstract commands, and it'll understand when it has the right amount of information, when it doesn't. It'll be able to reason retroactively, like, did I accomplish that correctly? And if not, what should I do instead? So really impressive technological improvements that the team is working on that I'm so excited about. Another thing that should be happening soon is that users will be able to describe specific patterns or layouts and get those. So you might be able to say, you might be able to say, I want a gallery of 4 images, 2x2 on the right, and a button on the left that takes people to my contact page. And I want it to talk about, X, Y, and Z. And it'll generate markup that will get people, essentially, like, right now we're delivering you something that's in these patterns and these blocks that are, someone who's not familiar with Gutenberg might not be able to kind of like iterate towards like their perfect website. But they can describe what they want. They could say what they want. And so we're trying to bridge that gap so that, again, people don't have to learn new tools in order to achieve their vision and their goals. So yeah, better intelligence, pattern generation are both very exciting things. We're also working on just generally supporting a wider variety of use cases. And one of those is commerce. So I know it's like very difficult to set up a store. We want, the type of people that we're trying to help get on the open web, they don't necessarily even understand the concept of plugins and extensions. And, once you start talking about that, they might just check out. We want
the eyes glaze over.
We want someone to be able to just say like, like the assistant will ask, are you trying to set up a store? And if so, like, where are you? Who do you sell to? What do you sell? And from that,
Mhm.
it'll understand like, okay, they need these types of payment plugins, these types of shipping plugins, or they don't ship. Their site needs to be able to book appointments, or it sells digital goods or physical goods. And we want to make that process as seamless as it has ever been for people trying to get on WordPress.
Nice. So, is there plans, or does it already answer questions like show documentation for how do I change this photo to black and white, or how do I apply a filter? Could it do those kinds of things now?
Yes, it actually can. So if you ask it to do something that it doesn't support, it will surface documentation and like give you a couple of options for how you can do that. We're using the same system that we built to help people when they come to support. And basically, it's right now, if it can't do it, we try to help you do it. And then like, as we learn from what people are trying to do and what we're not able to do for them, we want to start to fill out that longer tail of capabilities that will make people able to be successful on the web.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see you gather some like self-submitted sites that people use the AI builder for, to do a little showcase of sites that people have built themselves using the AI builder. I think that would be really cool, and have like a blog post in the future and say, look at people have been able to do who are not web builders. That would be so cool.
For sure. Yeah, we are, we're already looking at those sites. We're trying to figure out what's the best format to show off what people have been able to do. There's also this angle of it, which is like the time and effort. We send people surveys after they use the tool, and consistently people are saying, in terms of ease of use, it's like a 4 or 5 out of 5. And we're seeing people who otherwise would not build sites build them in like 30 minutes. And that's just really satisfying to see.
That's really cool. I mean, I've seen some of the pushback from people who are developers, like this didn't work for me, that kind of thing. But that's not the target audience for this. The target audience for this are people who are not web builders, who want to get on the web and be able to either sell or publish what they're doing for themselves, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't discount the feedback that we get from people who are more familiar with WordPress or the ecosystem. We want to grow to help people who are even pros, just like make their lives easier as well. Right now, we are aiming at people who just don't even know what WordPress is, and they just need to get on the web. And in doing so, we're hoping to grow the ecosystem. And we've had a lot of developers who've also expressed excitement, because in many ways, like, I can understand why some people might think like, oh, this is, replacing developers. It really isn't. This is just for people who need their first website and they can't afford a developer, they can't afford an agency. We're trying to get people into the ecosystem and help them grow to be more successful businesses, so that they can then, build more advanced websites, take advantage of more that the ecosystem and the developer community have to offer, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of my past almost customers are people who couldn't afford me to build their sites. And this is, I wasn't charging very much back then to build a site anyway, who would just register a domain and point it towards their Facebook page, for example.
Yeah.
And so this is better than that for sure, especially for people who can't afford to hire a developer or designer to do their site. They can get something up quickly and make them feel pretty accomplished, actually, when they do. I mean, if I was starting out and I built a site this way, I'd be like, Mom, look at this. Look what I did.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned like Facebook and Instagram, and in a sense, like, that is kind of the competition. It's just so easy for people to kind of stand something up in these walled gardens where they don't have a lot of control. They're just kind of beholden to the algorithm. Whereas, we're trying to give them a place that they can really make their own, with their own colors, styles, layouts, pages, images, and make that as easy as possible. Like, I think this, within 2 to 3 minutes, build something that I think people would be more proud of than like an Instagram profile they would build in 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes, exactly. Especially too, because you control what people see when they first get there. It's not a timeline where things disappear further down the page and you have to keep bumping things up, and it's more static than that, and a much better display of what it is that you might want to be selling or sharing. The call to action is much, much clearer.
Yeah. And obviously there's room for both of these places in a small business's like
Absolutely.
online presence. You can even ask the assistant like, hey, you know, update my Instagram link to this, and it'll like fix your social links and stuff like that. But people absolutely should have a website, and we're just trying to make that as easy as possible.
Your social media should complement your website, not replace it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Marketing girl here. The language. I got the language for you. Hit me up anytime.
Yeah, you said it better than I did.
Is there anything else? Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat all of a sudden. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we call it a day today?
I don't think so. Like I said, head over to wordpress.com/AI or /AI-website-builder. That's currently the real main entry point to try this out. And we'd love for people to try it out, give us feedback, let us know, you know, what cool sites they've made. We are working to make this more available within WordPress.com as well. We just found that right now we're trying to give people a very zippy and instant experience where they don't even have to understand WordPress.com. But as we kind of evolve it, we'll be landing there as well. And yeah, we'd love for people to try it and let us know what they think. You're muted.
That's because I was coughing. Yes, thank you. I said I'll give it a spin, and I will give you feedback for sure and let you know what I discover as I start to go through it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And I was saying to you before we got online today that I just asked you yesterday when I had an opening today all of a sudden. And so I appreciate you being able to jump in at the last minute and share with us a really cool project that you've been working on. So I truly appreciate it. Thank you for your time today, Neel.
Yeah, thank you again. Talk to you soon.
My pleasure. Yep. And everybody else, we will not be here next week. I will be in transit to Arizona for PressConf, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. So we'll see you then.